In this video, we're going to talk about the Halo Infinite update that just dropped and what it means for the future of Halo, and maybe lighten up some of the negativity going around in the Halo community right now. But down below, you'll find a link that will instantly get you to Onyx. Okay, not instantly. However, if you utilize this tool, getting to Onyx will be a breeze with our in-depth guides, tips and tricks, and so much more. Do yourself a favor and go check it out right now, down below. So the recent update allegedly fixed DESYNC, ping problems, and geofiltering, at least to an extent, and they are going to be fixing them even more going forward. And based on my very limited testing, it seemed like this is 100% true. Ranked seems so much smoother than it did in the past, and I didn't have bad DESYNC, and I didn't have very high ping. In fact, all my games were less than 50. So honestly, this is freaking awesome, and this was one of my biggest problems with Halo Infinite as a whole, and the fact that they fixed this means that I'm gonna start grinding the game again consistently, and this is very exciting to me personally. But we need to talk about the other big problems that are plaguing the game and talk about how 343 handled this problem and what does that mean for the future problems. Well, I would say that there are several big problems in Halo Infinite, and depending on you personally, you're gonna prioritize them differently. I think the biggest one and the most obvious one for people that play ranked is the MMR fused with casual, where you could take your casual games, go into ranked, and then grind a really high ranked, and then just rinse and repeat because the MMR is jointed between casual and between ranked. And they did speak about this, although not directly, because they haven't denied that this is true. And in addition, they did say that they're going to be doing a huge ranked reset in the start of Season 2, which is just around the corner. So chances are they know that this is a problem. They're going to be fixing this problem, and it's all coming just like pretty soon. So you have to understand that this is another big problem, but it's probably going to get squashed right away as well. Next up is cheating, and cheating is definitely a problem, but I wouldn't say that cheating is the biggest fire. And I hear you, I know you're gonna say, no, cheating is a huge problem, it needs to be solved right now. But here's the thing, if the MMR system isn't creating like consistent ranked modes in the first place, and there's a lot of other problems that are preventing people from even just playing the game casually, then no one's grinding the game ranked wise, and no one cares about cheating. No one even cares enough to cheat. So cheating is definitely a problem, but I do think that some of these other problems need to be fixed first, although cheating is already in the works. However, we don't have a guaranteed timeline on that one. Now, as far as content, and this is the big one that people say that they need content for the game, and 343 has a multitude of content planned for Season 2 and Season 3, specifically Forge and Co-op campaign, but they've also talked about adding new modes, potentially adding new maps, and just more overall depth. And Season 2 is right on the corner, and Season 3 is a fair bit off, but it's really not that far away in the grand scheme of things. So I do imagine that there'll be a certain amount of content coming in Season 2, and based on the way that 343 has handled this like recent DESYNC ping geofiltering problem, and they actually executed on it, and they've actually lived up to a lot of the things that they've said they're gonna do or they're trying to do in a reasonable time frame, I would expect the former rather than the latter, at least for some types of content, which is definitely an optimistic take, but I do think that 343 is on the right path. And like I said, my biggest problem already got fixed. So I am definitely thinking that Halo is starting to go in the right direction, big time. And now, of course, the big one for many people is going to be just monetization fixes. Now, monetization is a really slippery slope because I do feel like some people really care and some people don't care at all. And also, some people really care and they're really against the monetization system, but they buy skins consistently anyways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And they did say that monetization fixes are happening. They're going to be implementing something similar to a new store eventually, but they're working on it. I don't exactly know why. I'm guessing they're trying to build it, or maybe whatever the coding system. I don't fucking know. I don't know how hard it is to make a goddamn store, but regardless, they are doing big changes to monetization. Well, based on all of your responses, many of you that want skins have already bought them, and many of you would not be convinced to buy them just because they are like half off. You just don't even care enough to buy them at all. So I'm really interested in how they're gonna fix monetization as a whole. Maybe the majority of the community is just a little bitter from the previous pricing, and more aggressive pricing and just a more cohesive store will have just more people buying skins in general. I do think some big quality of life changes, like having armor cores, you know, colors, being able to take that to any armor, I think is like a great start. I have no idea if they're gonna do it. And then second off, the battle pass, they've already mentioned that the next big battle pass is going to pay us back. We don't know how much, but it's going to be able to pay us back in certain credits. So you could buy the battle pass, you could work through it, you can get credits, and then buy goddamn cat ears in the store, which I think is more appealing. That's something that I would be interested in because it gives me incentive to grind. I'll be able to get a whole bunch of skins, a whole bunch of cosmetics, and at the end I can like reward myself with something fucking dumb. So that to me makes a lot more sense, and I bet you they would sell a lot of that as long as what they pay you back is something substantial. And I do know that those monetization fixes are coming, but we don't know whether or not that's going to be in season 2 or 3. I would imagine that some of them would be in season 2. They've already done some monetization changes already, so it's going to be more like a slow trickle rather than like a big change all at once, in my opinion. Now, we don't have an official timeline, and they did say that the timeline is their highest priority, so we're probably going to get a timeline first sometime in the next couple of weeks, which will give us a bigger idea about what 343 is prioritizing. But between now and May, there is a lot of big changes coming that is gonna really help the game. And the steps that 343 have already made, I know that a lot of people just want to hate and bash on 343, but honestly, the game is in beta, okay? We've talked about this before. The game is, you know, very, very far from complete. And whenever we want new content, whenever we want something more, whenever we want a new mode, there's already an existing dumpster fire that needs to be put out, solved, fixed, whether it was Big Team Battle, DESYNC, the MMR system, whatever. But these problems are being fixed one at a time, and it's gonna be a slow grind. We've talked about this before. It's not gonna happen all at once, but I do think that 343 and Halo is on the right track, and I'm incredibly excited about the future. I'm actually optimistic for once. If this DESYNC thing didn't come out for like a month or 2 or 3, then yeah, I would be very negative this entire time, but it came out already. I'm excited to grind, and yeah, but definitely let me know how you feel about the changes. How have your experiences been once the changes have gone through? Have they been working for you? And what is your biggest problem right now? What do you think that 343 needs to fix next? What's the big thing that maybe is your one thing that once it's fixed, you're like, okay, Halo is good. Halo is fine. So I want to hear it down below. But if you want to be a movement god and glide around the map, we have in-depth movement courses on the GameLeap website that are going to help you dodge fire, get exactly what you want to, and completely outplay opponents. So do yourself a favor and go check them out right now down below.